Good morning, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an incredible honor and joy for all of us here to be with you. We are very grateful for the huge generosity, and this is the right word, the generosity of sharing your precious time with us. We know that you receive many invitations from everywhere, from all over the world. And of course, this only makes us even more grateful for the opportunity of having this session. I also would like to thank your truly human leadership coordinator, Emily Reynolds, for her support and her kindness throughout this process that made this moment possible. And I'm not sure if you remember, Bob, but a couple of years ago, we had the privilege of having an unforgettable conversation with you. And as you know, I'm a great admirer of yourself, your work. I always show Barry-Wehmiller's inspiring story in my events, and I deeply believe that we would truly live in a much better world if companies were led by highly conscious human beings that are building such a beautiful legacy as yourself.
I That's a good place to start because I think if we all embrace the principles of truly human leadership, we could begin to heal the poverty of dignity in the world, and business could not be just a force for economic value creation, but dramatic human value creation and business, because we have people in our care for 40 hours a week. And the way we treat them impacts them dramatically. So I thought your questions were very good, and
Yeah.
I look
Yeah.
forward to the dialogue.
Okay, so Bob, as you know, this is a group composed by business and thought leaders of many of Brazil's leading companies and institutions. And our goal with this program is basically to expand the mindset of business leaders so they can lead their companies in a more ethical, humane, and systemic way. And that's why we have these special sessions with leading thinkers like yourself, who are, our guides, so that we can be agents of positive transformation in the business world. And you don't need introductions, of course, but for the sake of starting this event in a more formal way and to fully recognize your inspiring journey, I would like to highlight to all participants that Bob Chapman is the chairman and CEO of Barry-Wehmiller, a 3.5 billion global capital equipment and engineering solutions company founded in 1885 with more than 12,000 team members. He was named the Tharseō CEO of the Year by the Society for Human Resource Management, the number 3 CEO in the world in an Inc. article, and a top 10 social capital CEO by International Business Times. Bob is very intentional about using his platform as a business leader to build a better world. He became the CEO of Barry-Wehmiller back in 1975 at age 30, and when the business had, $20 million in revenues and a weak financial position. And despite the obstacles, Bob applied a unique blend of strategy and culture over the next 50 years in leading Barry-Wehmiller through more than 130 successful acquisitions or adoptions, as Bob likes to say. Over the past 2 decades, Bob developed truly human leadership, a people-centric approach where his team members feel valued, cared for, and integral to the company's purpose. At Barry-Wehmiller, they have a unique measure of success by the way they touch the lives of people. And the transformation championed by Bob was the inspiration behind his 2015 Wall Street Journal bestseller, Everybody Matters, The Extraordinary Power of Caring for Your People Like Family. And this book is co-authored with Raj Sisodia, which is the founder and co-author of The Conscious Capitalism. It has been translated into 8 languages, including Portuguese, Todos são importantes. And at this very moment, they have released the 10th anniversary revised and expanded edition of this fantastic book that I already ordered and I'm eagerly waiting to arrive. In 2016, Harvard Business School released a case study featuring Barry-Wehmiller's unique approach to business, which is now fortunately taught at 70 plus business schools around the world. And Bob and his wife Cynthia, they launched a nonprofit Chapman Foundation for Caring Communities. So Bob, given your incredible journey and the positive difference you have been making, I would like to start off this conversation in a different way. It's a surprise. I saw a recent interview with you in which you were asked about your greatest fear. And you responded that your greatest fear would be that your leadership model that you have been blessed with, and which indeed has the potential to transform the world, would die with you. So, Bob, with great humility, from our modest platform and community, we'd like you to know that that's not going to happen. We believe in your message, which is a radical message based above all on love, care, and hope, and will continue to carry it forward. So, I'm sorry. Um, I'd like to break protocol here and ask everyone to have a round of applause for Bob.
Thank you.
For all the good things to have done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Bob, now I'm going to start off. It's been a few decades since you made it, this, let's call it the crossing from manager to leader. What were the benefits, Bob, of this transition? And not just from an organizational perspective for Barry-Wehmiller and its people, which of course has been immense, even impacting divorce rates, but for the satisfaction and meaning that this crossing provided to your life as a whole.
Good question. I'll remind people my background is an undergraduate degree in accounting, an MBA from Michigan, University of Michigan, and then I went to Price Waterhouse for a couple of years in public accounting, and then joined this struggling company my dad had bought into in 1969, 6 years before he passed away. So to some extent, I want you to understand the background because and I thought my job from my education and from then entering the business world was organic growth, profitability, shareholder value. Okay. And I took what I had learned and began building a company with if you studied our case study, I had dramatic success right after my dad died, and then dramatic decline, financial survival from October of 83 to August of 84. And then marginal survival to 87. And then in 1987, we launched sold off 2/3 of the company on the London Stock Exchange. And this journey of transformation was not a straight line. I had my mistakes, I had my successes, but that shaped the company we have today. I want to make sure you understand my mistakes. I learned more from my mistakes and challenges than I did my successes. And so what it means to me, again, it meant a lot to me to see the company start to grow in 1988 after the public offering. So we spun off 2/3 to the London Stock Exchange. I was left again in 1988 with a $20 million company. And this is the point I want to make importantly. I sat down for 9 months after that phenomenally successful public offering that amazed everybody. Harvard actually wrote a case study on it. But I said to myself, what did I learn? What did I learn from 1969 to 1987? So as I look forward, I can capture my skills and play this game well. And so I had the vision of this company that was, again, 20 million in 1988 of getting to 100 million. But a key thing I was looking for was balance of products, markets, and services. Because one of my challenges in my growth was concentration of customers and technology. And then once the market changes, we hurt people. So I would say to you, again, the first 30 years of my career were around transforming a historic business, giving it a future, starting to do acquisitions with no money. But the transformation started occurring in 1997, and we were doing well financially, But I had these series of revelations. And so my purpose went from creating economic value to creating human value and economic value in harmony. So, and if looking at this population of people on the call now, if you could travel around the world with me and sit down from China to Serbia to India to Germany to France and hear what people say in our company of how it feels to be a part of a company that cares for them, you would all be in tears. The healing power caring is profound. So how do I feel? I would say to you, I feel blessed that some higher power is using us to show the world the way he meant it to be, where we create human and economic value in harmony. And we send people home each night knowing that who they are and what they do matters. And that puts a sense of joy in your heart that you cannot monetize. There's no amount of financial success that can compare to human dignity, a chance to change the world. We all know we live in a world that we're concerned with, the conflict, the divisions. We could be, all of you on this call, we could be the source of healing in the world if we could embrace truly human leadership and send people home feeling valued. And so it is a profound sense of joy. And I would say to you, how do I feel? The peak of how I feel was captured when a Harvard professor, Derek Van Beaver, had invited me to speak to his class on faith and leadership. He's a Harvard divinity professor, Harvard MBA professor, unbelievably talented and profound professor. And we went to talk about this class along the Charles River on the campus of Harvard. We chatted for about an hour and a half. As we walked back to the Charles Hotel, he looked at me in the eye and he said, "Bob, you are a true modern day prophet in the world." From my background, I had to look up what a prophet is. And a prophet in this case is not a P&L statement. It is somebody who speaks the word of God. Can you imagine a compliment, unsolicited compliment, more powerful than you speak the word of God? Because that's the way I feel. There's no way from the background I explained to you that it makes sense that I'm on the journey we're going to talk about. So it is a profound feeling of joy. It gives me hope that we can heal the brokenness of the world. And in the time we have on this earth, we can leave it better than we found it.
And so, Bob, the language we use shapes how we think, what we value, and how we behave. And in this sense, I really like the way you created a new language as part of your truly human leadership approach with many original terms. As examples, could you please share with us why you use span of care instead of reporting to, and why you use the beautiful term adoption instead of acquisition for the companies that become part of Barry-Wehmiller?
Yes. And you start off with a good introduction. The words we use affect the behavior we see. So in English, we have managers, bosses, supervisors. And I say in business school, I took management classes, got a management degree, and I got a job in management. So what did I think I was supposed to do? I was supposed to manage people. When people came to me with issues, because of my position, I would listen to the issue and tell them what to do, and they would do it, and I felt good. Okay. And so I would, and again, I always say, name anybody in your life that wants to be managed. Anybody. Name anybody in your life that can be managed. Okay. You cannot manage people. Okay. So the word management in this journey of mine is a broken word. It means the manipulation of others for your success. Okay. And so we use the word leadership, which is the stewardship of the lives you have the privilege of leading. Okay. So we adopted this company in the infrastructure industry, concrete equipment. And I was invited to give a keynote speech at a conference. And the CEOs of the largest companies in that field wanted a private meeting with me afterwards. So I was in a room with about 20 or 30 CEOs for a subsequent discussion. And again, this is just how I feel, a blessing. All of a sudden, I said to them, why don't you introduce yourself to me and tell me how many people are in your span of care? That's it. It just came out of me. It wasn't a conscious, it just, and you should have seen them try to say the word span of care. Head count, numbers of employees. But when you say span of care, it changes the way you think. Okay. Not report to, not supervisor of. So words matter. Okay. And so we've referred to people as labor. Okay. We've referred to people on our plants as working on the floor. Okay. So I mean, to me, the language of business is severely broken and leads to behavior that reflects that. We wouldn't refer to our children or our family as labor, would we? Okay. So I would say to you, we need to create a human language because it affects the way we think. I could watch those CEOs the first time I did that, pause and think about, I have 50,000 people in my span of care. Okay. I don't employ, they're not. So this is an interesting variation. I was speaking at the Air Force where Top Gun, where they teach the top pilots in the world. And I said, because I know nothing about the military, I said, how do you teach young men and women to kill people? And they said, we don't. We teach them to take out targets that made mistakes. Okay. They try to dehumanize the fact that we're going to drop bombs that are going to kill people. In business, we do the same thing. We dehumanize. We have layoffs and right sizing and downsizing. We use words because we're destroying lives. I mean, studies show that when you lay somebody off or fire somebody, I mean, we use the word firing every day in countries. You know where firing came from? The French firing squad. Okay. Would you want your child or yourself fired? It's an inhuman way to refer to, I call it hard love. When you face an issue and you need to address it, it's like kids. So anyway, language is incredibly important. And in our journey, we're up to almost 150 adoptions. Again, words matter. And one day the word acquisition sounds like conquering companies. It just didn't feel good. And because every time we adopt a company in France or Serbia or Germany, we're opening a church in that community. Okay. And so I said, we adopt companies, we adopt people. Okay. And so adoption just seemed to reflect a more positive attitude. So again, if we're up to like 150 adoptions now around the world. And one of the things I want to make sure you all understand is what we're talking about here right now. I gave like 80 speeches around the world last year, United Nations twice, Airbus in Europe. I mean, I saw what I just said to you, nobody at Harvard, nobody debates what I just said to you. Nobody. It's just so far from what they were taught and what we practice. It's like walking outside and seeing the moon. Yep, I see the moon, but I don't know how to get there. So going from management to leadership is a journey that nobody debates. They just have no idea how to go on that journey. And that's what we're trying to take people, all of you, on that journey that is incredibly healing. It will fill your heart with joy beyond your imagination.
Wow, wonderful. And Bob, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'm going to open for questions from the other members of our group because a lot of people are willing to ask questions here, starting with Angela, who coordinates this program with me. But I'm going to ask you just two more questions, please, before that. So, listening, care, trust, and recognition are pillars of your leadership philosophy. Why are these virtues so important for leaders? And to what extent do you believe most companies understand the relevance of these virtues for human flourishing and high performance in listening, care, trust, and recognition?
I would say most companies don't understand it because it's so far outside the box they can't embrace it. But remember, as you started, a young man asked me about 22 years ago my greatest fear, and I said, and I had seen our church. We had a vibrant church. It fell apart when our rector left. I thought, if a church can fall apart just because the rector moves on to another church, what about our company? And I've seen this happen in many companies. Great leader, the company seems to be doing well, and the leader retires, and the company fall apart. And so that fear, because again, I'm an eternal optimist, and so fear is not a word I even can spell, but he surfaced it. And so I said, okay, what are we going to do? We've now surfaced the fear. We need to create disciples. And I hope all of you will join us to become a disciple. You know, how do religions survive over centuries? They articulate their beliefs, which we have in the guiding principle of leadership. And they have disciples who tell stories that bring those beliefs to life to allow us to live those and carry them forward for centuries. So we started a university, which gets to your point. And so I sat down with the team and said, okay, we can't send our people back to a university to learn to care, to go from management to leadership. We're going to have to start our own university. And this was within 24 hours, just this thought. And this relative, very young team I had said, well, what are we going to teach? And I said, I don't know. I mean, what we need to teach people is how to live our guiding principle of leadership. And so the team came up with 3 profound classes. And the first class is empathetic listening. And when they told me, okay, Bob, we've designed a 3-day class on empathetic listening. And I said, that's ridiculous. Why on earth do you, I know how to listen. You all know how to listen, right? You're listening to me right now. Well, we had a very strong individual named David Vandermill said, nope, we are going to teach it. And I said, okay, that seems stupid to me. Start a university and teach people to listen. Okay. Second class is recognition and celebration. When Cynthia and I were raising 6 kids, I'm sure some of you have kids, we wanted to be a good parent and we went to classes. And one of the things we learned, if you don't compliment your kids 5 times more than you suggest things they could do better, it is difficult for them to deal with it. Guess what? Adults are exactly the same way. I hear all the time in companies, before we embrace this leadership, I got 10 things right and I never heard a word. I got 1 thing wrong and I got my ass chewed out. Okay. That is the culture in most companies. So we said, we are going to teach people how to look for the goodness in people and pause and say thank you in thoughtful ways. Believe it or not, I told you about listening. There is a skill to listening. It is not as with your ears, it's with your soul. Your ears are just the channel of which it gets to your soul. Okay. But recognition and celebration is equally. There's a skill. It's called feelings, behavior, and impact. And if you saw a recognition event and the tears that come to people's eyes, it's not that a boy, good job. You know, it's not 5 years of service. Here's a watch. It is quite often the individual's family's there. We do it in front of others. And so we have this cadence, this culture of looking for the goodness. Because we have people in our care for 40 hours a week, and we want them to go home feeling the goodness of others, okay, and themselves. It's profound. And the third is called culture of service, seizing the opportunity to serve others. I always thought it was about me and my success, but serving others says, I want to do my job well for others, for our customers, for my team members, because if I do my job well, they have a better future. So moving from a me-centric world, which we have, to a we-centric world is a journey in a class. Those 3 classes, eclectically created, we started teaching. And again, I told you that the listening class I thought was ridiculous. So I was in Minneapolis a few months later, and a young lady, probably 30-ish, came up to me and said, Mr. Chapman, I just took your university class on listening. I said, great. What was it like? I had no idea. And she said, it changed my life. I said, we taught a class at work that changed your life? She said, yes, I now know how to raise my 2-year-old daughter. And she went through the specifics of how she learned to listen to her daughter and deal with her daughter, which was profound. So that my heart exploded at that moment, and I began traveling around the world. So these 3 unique classes, listening to validate the worth of others, not to debate or judge, recognizing the goodness of others with the skills of recognition. Okay, it's a skill. And then culture of service, seizing the opportunity to serve others. Those 3 unique classes were what our team came up with as a way of taking people from management to leadership, that journey to the moon. Okay. The amazing thing that I want to make sure you understand, we just were trying, it was all about the company internal. We were just trying to make sure we created disciples that would carry this forward. 95% of the feedback we got from our team members who took these classes, 95% was how it affected their marriage and their relationship with their children. Until that moment, it never occurred to me that the way I would run Barry-Wehmiller would impact people's marriage, other than the compensation and the benefits, or their children. And this is around the world. This is not an American issue. From southern Italy to Hamburg, Germany, to everywhere in the world, because what we've learned to do is teach human skills. Okay, and it affects every part. And remember, one of my big lessons I want to make sure you capture: the way you see people impacts the way you treat people. The lens through which you see people. If you see people as labor, as you see people as employees, you will treat them. You might be nice, but you will treat them. But when you see them as the revelation I had at the wedding, and you see them as somebody's precious child, knowing that the way you treat them will affect their health and the way they go home and treat their spouse and kids, it creates a profound sense of responsibility as a leader. So again, those 3 human skills we teach. And of course, now we're saying, why do we need to teach these to adults? Why don't people have these skills? Because our education system is around academic skills to get a job, to make money. And we are working, and we have pilots, elementary schools and universities working with us now to bring these human skills into the journey of stewardship we have of students, so we don't have to fix adults anymore.
Wow, Bob, it's so inspiring, so wonderful. And I have just, well, I would have questions for all over the day, but I'll finish with my last question here and then hand over to Angela and to Julio and to Rodolfo. So, Bob, we have many board members in this group, and Barry-Wehmiller has undergone this profound cultural transformation over the past 25 years. So, what role did your board of directors play in this transformation? To what extent did it really understand and contribute to this process? And on top of that, do you believe that in general, boards have come to improve their understanding and started to dedicate more attention to the culture of their companies over the past 2 decades? Or does this continue to be a distant and, I would say, peripheral subject?
It's a distant and peripheral subject. In fact, it's gotten worse. The intensity in a competitive world to make money and create shareholder value, I would say it is, in my 50-year career, it's gotten worse. Okay. Board, and I've had for 50 years a spectacular outside board. I was just blessed with some amazing board members who I admire, and they loved our company. But when we discuss culture, it's a little bit like shifting to Chinese. Okay. They like it, and it's nice, but how's your share price? Because the language of boards is governance and value creation. Okay. They have no they've never been on a board that talked about culture. Okay. Or doing what we do. So they like it. They don't really bring it up because it's kind of like I can't ask you a question in Chinese because I don't speak that language. So again, I have a spectacular board, diverse board, but this is the language that they don't speak. Okay. So again, I'll give you an example. I was giving a speech at a major church in Dallas on the campus of SMU, a major university, as a favor to this executive. And a gentleman came up to me after the speech and said, Mr. Chapman, I'm Doug Parker, chairman of American Airlines. And just listen, he's chairman and CEO of American Airlines. He said, Bob, I thought my job was to build the world's biggest airline, which I did. Until I just heard you speak, it never occurred to me to care for the 130,000 people of American Airlines. This is a man with great values, incredible. I mean, but it was always about share price, market growth, et cetera. It was never about 130. And he said, you have given me a whole new purpose in life. And they began bringing our team members in to help them learn to care for their team members. And then he said, which to your point, how should I handle my board? And I said, Doug, very carefully, because they're not going to understand this. You got to be extremely thoughtful in how you bring them along. Eventually, the board decided it was a strategic competitive advantage. It's called boardroom bullshit. Okay, they had to find some term they could describe this as. Well, it'll give us a competitive advantage because if we treat people nice and they treat our customers nice. So again, incredible gentleman. From all terms, incredibly successful, world's largest airline, in a church. Never occurred to him to care for the 130,000 people at American Airlines. Okay, that's the world we live in. I have never yet seen a board that embraces it because it's a foreign language. That is not the language. When give you a more recent example. I think it was Microsoft announced a couple of years ago they're going to let 10,000 people go. 10,000 people. And I caught my attention. I looked it up on the internet and they have 200,000 people. And so I called a McKinsey partner that I know. I said, is it required by law that Microsoft announce that they're going to hurt 10,000 people? He said, nope. So we had a long discussion. We agreed that most likely investment advisors advise every public board's got a group of investment advisors, give them guidance on how the market sees them so they can use that information. That they were advised that there's a window of opportunity here in the market because Intel, several other people in the tech center letting people go. Give me about 10,000 people. You got 10,000. You can give me 10,000 people, and we'll announce to the world that we're going to let them go. And you'll see your share price go up. No, the board, not wanting to get sued, not wanting an activist investor, said, do you think that board talked about the impact on those men and women, 10,000 people, who they're going to walk up to and say, sorry, I know we invited you to this company. I know you just bought a home. I know you're just about to have a baby, but you'll find another job. And here's your severance. It's inhuman the way we do that. That board, I guarantee you, did not discuss the impact on those 10,000 people. The psychological impact, because studies show it is a devastating blow to people, but we dehumanize it. Well, you got to right size, downsize, everybody's doing it. Did they talk about the impact on the 190,000 that are still there? I guarantee they did not. This was an economic advice, take advantage of it. And guess what the public did? The share price went. It rewarded the board and the company for hurting 10,000 people. This is a term that I want you to remember. We learned in the last 10 years a term called business excellence staffing model. BESM. It's a term that we learned at a conference on lean. And it basically says, why don't you let natural attrition take you to a place of greater efficiency? So Microsoft could have said, we've got some costs out of line. Let's use natural attrition. When Mary or Joe retire, let's brainstorm how to redesign the work and move towards an organizational structure that would be competitive and appropriate for our stock price and natural attrition. I know Bank of America went from 300,000 to 200,000 people, and the chairman told me they did that with more or less without any layoffs. They did it with natural attrition. So using natural attrition to say, you don't ever have to go on a diet if you never gained weight, okay? You don't need to have a layoff if you use natural attrition to always challenge. You're not dumping the work on somebody else. That is a powerful tool to never have to, when we have to do a layoff, right? That is our fault, our mistake, okay? Not the people. So we're hurting people. So in America right now, there's a lot of layoffs going on as people struggle with hitting financial goals with inflation and challenges, competitive challenges. And we use people to make numbers work.
Wow. Thank you so much, Bob. So insightful and enlightening. So thank you. Angela, please.
Hey, Angela, can I
Hi.
want to capture, after all your thoughtful notes, I spent 2 hours writing comments. I want to kind of just read for all of you just about 8 things I wrote down really quickly so we get it on the record. Because I want to leave you with these thoughts. Number one is the way we lead our businesses impacts how those in our care go home and treat their families. The way we lead impacts the way people live. That is a profound learning I want you to have. And it's about people, purpose, and performance. It starts with our profound responsibility to the people in our organization around a purpose that inspires them. And then we got to create value, because if we don't create value, we are going to lose the confidence of our investors, and that causes to hurt people. And the way we see people impacts the way we treat people. So the lens, don't see people as functions, see them as somebody's precious child. And you cannot be a good steward of the people in your care unless you have a robust business model. It is not about getting the right people on the bus. It's about building a safe bus, which is your business model, and then having leaders who know how to drive that bus safely and know where they're going. And then everybody that gets on that bus is going to be in care. So a profound responsibility of leadership is your business model so that you don't hurt the people. And so again, what we've learned in the past 10 years is that is a key. We use that all the time. We measure how many people we can redesign the work. So again, it's keeping your company healthy. The bad news about COVID, it was highly contagious. The good news about caring, it's even more contagious than COVID. When you embrace these practices and you genuinely care for the people you lead, you will release in those people the capacity to care for it. We had no idea, but that is what we've learned. It releases their capacity to care. And again, it's contagious. And again, what you will experience when I was just up in our northern Wisconsin operation with Simon Sinek, and we captured video, we interviewed people, the stories that the healing power of leadership, the impact on future generations. The way you lead each of your companies is impacting marriages, children. And we say, what's wrong with kids today? I said, where'd they come from? They came from our families, where most likely family members came home from a job where they felt used with no dignity, and they didn't treat their spouse or their kids the way they should because they've been abused for 40 hours a week. And again, I interview people all over the world who joined us about their previous experience, and it is horrible. It is horrible because it's about numbers. Business, we had an industrial revolution, which was about economic value creation. We need a human revolution that in harmony, that we show that we care for people. So again, all of you on the call, we're the most powerful force to transform the world that is clearly woke. If we simply see the people in our care as somebody's precious child, we create a business model where they're safe, we validate their worth with these skills, and we could heal the brokenness we're all feeling and seeing in the world.
Thank you, Bob. It's an amazing pleasure and privilege to have you here again. And we hope that you could come again and again, so for so many times as you want, and your schedule allows. Thank you for Emily for helping us too with this meeting, and I wanted to make two comments and a question about language, that you said that you use adoption in the place of acquisitions. And for instance, one of our immersions in our leadership programs for business is to visit a humanized prison. And we took our children, 7-year-old and 5-year-old, to one of these prisons. And we just said to them that people there were trying to learn how to love, the lessons from Jesus, Buddha, and etc. And in the end of the visit, we asked our son what was his feeling about it, what was that place, and he said it was an orphanage for adults. So as you use it, the adoption and this orphanage, right?
Yeah.
The same feeling about caring the people. It doesn't matter if it is children, doesn't matter if adults or employees or our partners, it doesn't matter. Just the caring that the language shows. This is amazing. I wanted to share with you.
Well, remember, you can't ask people to care. You have to teach them how to care. We have learned that caring is a teachable skill. We never knew that, as is listening. So it's really important to you. Caring is a teachable skill. Okay. And when you teach that to them, you're giving them skills to improve their marriage, their relationship with their kids, our communities, and the way they talk. So the beauty is we can teach this. You can't ask people to care. You have to teach them the skills of caring.
Perfect. Marvelous. And my question, it is about a feeling that I have when someone realizes the deep and true responsibility of this place, of a C-level or board member. And some of my lectures for board members and C-level in ethical business, I cite every lecture. I cite Barry-Wehmiller and your transformation, and for instance, the impact that it has in employees, families, relationship, and divorce rates. So, and they left speechless. But the realization of the true and deep responsibility can freeze people also, and they start to want to have control of everything, like it would be possible.
Yeah.
So what would be your recommendation to those who already understood the extent of their responsibility, but are still unsure of the new path to be taken, despite of going to the command and control and everything around it, and none of the command and control standard?
Well, what I speak to CEOs all over the world. I speak, to in every part of society. It's not just business. It's hospitals, it's nonprofits, it's our military. We have the same issue everywhere. Again, these are not bad people, okay? They were taught and rewarded and promoted for achieving results, not for caring, okay? And so what we started with, which is it's public, you can see it, we created this constitution of our culture called the Guiding Principles of Leadership, where the overriding theme is we measure success by the way we touch the lives of people, okay? And then we started embracing that. So I would say to you, to an organization that wants to consider this, take a look at look at there's on the internet, there's my animated TED Talk. It's a 10-minute version of my TED Talk that Simon Sinek had me do 20 or 18 years ago, whatever it was. Look at the animated version. How do you feel about this? Let's read the new book, which has got those next 5 chapters are really profound. And let's discuss, do we want to go on this journey? Okay. Do we believe this is the right thing to do for the people we have the privilege of leading? Okay. And then we can't ask people to do it. We got to start teaching them the skills. And I preach every day this North Star that guides us. I speak around the world through Zoom calls, through communication, through our book. And I'm constantly reinforcing we're on a journey. We're not perfect. But we are on a journey to show that business could be a force for good if we knew how to care for our people. So again, the CEO Roundtable, America's top CEOs, came out with a statement a couple of years ago that we need to think about more than just the shareholders. Now, I know some of these gentlemen. They're wonderful family men, Christians. They just have no idea how to care when it comes to work because they're not rewarded for that. They lose their job. So you have this tension. How do I do that? And so I'd say to you, it takes, you got to believe in your heart. This is the way to go. You've got to believe this is what you want to do as a steward of the people that you have the privilege of lead. And what we're trying to show you is it works. It works around the world. We know it works. Is this, again, I'm not giving you an academic theory. I'm sharing with you the journey we've been blessed with. And our share price has gone up 12% compound a year for 25 years. Okay, we've outperformed the best. Why? Because the business model is the engine. We designed a phenomenal business model around balanced markets products where we could play. And then our culture is the premium fuel that allows that engine to perform. Okay. If you have a flawed business model and you try to do this and you hurt people, it's going to compromise this. So the foundation each one of you have to your people is, are our people safe in this business model that I am leading? Okay. Are they? Okay. And then if so, then how can we bring this premium fuel? Because it's amazing the gifts. I mean, as we sit here today, you can't believe the talent that wants to join our company around the world. I mean, we're getting people from major corporations that say, I'm so fed up with this quarterly focus, this inhuman, and the stories we hear are amazing. And so you will get talent. People are bringing opportunities for us to adopt companies all over the world. I think we had 3 we discussed last week, and every one of them is dramatically impacted by our culture. Okay. So even our adoptions are being dramatically impacted by our culture. So again, you can't just say to a CEO, oh, do that. You can't say we're going to speak Chinese tomorrow. Okay. Caring is a language that you can learn, and we do that. And so that's why we have the Leadership Institute. That's how we took American Airlines, by our food stores. We're in substantial dialogue with Unilever right now. So again, the beauty of what I shared with you, it is not an academic theory. It is what we are actually doing around the world in service businesses and manufacturing business. Barry-Wehmiller is in a number of fields. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
that worked. Because you provide them meaning and you fulfill the human fundamental needs. So
Yes. Bob, one last quick question. If you could give one piece of advice for a Bob Chapman 40 years old self, what would it be?
And what age did you say?
Your piece of advice, if you could give one advice for a Bob Chapman 40-year-old. What?
40-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for this? Okay. Write your eulogy. Write your eulogy. What do you want people to say when you leave this earth about the life you've lived? sit down and write your eulogy, okay? And think about what you want people to say. 99% of the people I talk to live life as a series of events, and rarely do I ask somebody, what do you want your life to be? What do you want people to say about your life that's true when you leave this earth? Very few people I meet live life with intention. Most people live life as a series of events that take places. And when I ask people that, it really causes them to pause and then once you write your eulogy, go make it true. Go make it true. How on earth do you know what to do with your life if you don't know where you're going? Okay. Well, I want to retire someday. Oh, I didn't ask you if you want to retire. What do you want your life to be? So the most serious homework, and we're now starting to have this dialogue with kids, senior kids in high school. When you leave high school, don't leave it just saying, I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to get a job. Have some thought of what you want to do with your life so that you begin doing things that take you there, not just, I get a job and then I moved here. So live life with intention. Okay, that would be the key. And so writing my job, my eulogy is that I touched as many lives as I could positively in the world, and in a way that will live well beyond any of our times. And we'll begin to heal this poverty of dignity and change the way we treat each other at work, at home, in our communities.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Bob. Wonderful. Julio, please.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Bob, for being with us. I wouldn't ever miss this one.
It's my privilege. It's my privilege.
You are my role model, I can tell you. And I don't have a question, but I have something to tell you that your legacy truly stays. From my own experience, I can say, at our company where I work today, we already lived many of the principles you teach. But when we read Everybody Matters, we just realized that we had found exactly what we needed as a foundation to build and formalize the culture project that we have in the company today. So purpose and people come first. Performance is a natural consequence, as you envision. And this has become the base of everything that we do. It's the first slide of our presentations when we talk about the future. We are a 40-year family-owned medical and dentistry company, education, with a span of care of 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So I
So
just in the word
he said, he couldn't even say it without smiling, because doesn't it feel good to say span of care?
I'm learning as you know, as we go here, and we had around 80,000 students throughout these years, 40 years. So, and I invited our HR director and the son of our founders, who's a 25-year-old who is now leading the company. And we read your book together, and I can assure you, he is already leading based on everything you've thought. In this room today, so you have living proof of everything that you've been teaching throughout this year. So, and one of our values in the company is called acolhimento. That's the word in Portuguese, but there's no single word in English to translate it. It's strange, but it's the best translation would be embrace with care. I think it's the best, but embodies everything that you believe and teach us. So care, respect, and human connection. So perhaps Zach wants to give a word just to tell, because, thank you very much for being with us and for teaching everything you teach.
So again, we're in the manufacturing business, but we are now working with the university hospitals, because we're trying to bring care to caregivers, because in our medical society, doctors and nurses have high burnout rates because they don't feel cared for. And so we are trying to bring these skills into the medical field so that caregivers themselves feel cared for. And we call it loved ones caring for loved ones. Aren't the doctors and nurses just as important as the patient? And who is caring for them? Because the leaders of our hospitals honestly don't know how to care. Okay. And so we're trying to, and it's worse than business. Okay. It's worse than business. So we are working very hard. And again, all of you heard me. We have like 5 kindergarten to 12th grade schools trying to bring this from kindergarten from 5 years old to 18. And everybody loves it. And then we're working with universities now to change business education. So again, you can't ask people to care. You have to teach them how to care. And you want on those 18,000, whatever it is, people that went through your program, when they leave that program, you want them to have the skills to care for the people they are going to serve, and feel cared for themselves. Okay. Again, I can't, we could go on another hour about the issues we face in healthcare, because we want to put the care in healthcare.
And these are 80,000 physicians and dentists. So it's the best private university nowadays in Brazil, and they follow your guidelines, Bob, just for you to know. And Zach, I'd like to share with him this experience.
Sure. Thank you, Alexandre. Hi, Bob. It's a pleasure being here, speaking with you. Just so you know, I'm 26, not 25, like Julia said. But yeah, I am young in a big and responsible leadership role. And my dad founded the company 30 years ago. It's a private institution for dentists and physicians. And he always believed in this embrace of care, like Julia said. He always had this culture in him, and he created a company like this. He's a dentist. I didn't study dentistry or medicine. I went to business school here in Brazil, and I wasn't taught in the school how to lead a company like my dad did as a dentist. And I always saw him doing that, and we always had success. So it was really hard to me to balance this, what I learned in the business school and what my dad did, the way he guided the company. And reading your book and your experience makes me see that it is possible in the business world to create a company that has this culture and this value. So again, like Judah said, it's a big inspiration. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And again, to whom much is given, much is expected, young man. Okay.
Yes.
We all look at you, the opportunity to follow the inspiration of your father, the fact that you've touched 80,000 people. And what I want to make sure that you do in the care in preparing these people in dentistry to go out into the field, that you give them these human skills of listening to the patient, listening to them, and recognizing the goodness in your team members. So again, not just technical skills to be a good dentist, but how do we teach these human skills while you have them in your program, in your care? How do we bring these human skills into our care for these to impact healthcare, which you're providing? So I want those people to go out with the skills to care, not just the skills to be good dentists or good doctors, et cetera. It's incredibly important that we see this. And again, I'm dealing with a doctor right now who's virtually in tears about how bad the medical field is. And we're working with one of the largest in the country in Charleston, South Carolina. It's got 25,000 team members. So we are trying, a major focus is healthcare, because we don't have care in healthcare. It's normally all about the patient. Who cares for the team, the medical team, the nurses, the support team? Because they say it's all about the patient. So you could heal not just dentistry issues, but you could heal the very caregivers by giving them these skills and start shaping the future of caregiving in your country.
Wow. Yes, that's true. Thank you, Bob. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Rodolfo, please.
I don't know if the word thank you could represent my feeling right now, but thank you. I don't know any other words to use, but really thank you. And these are really basic questions. And when I discuss or talk with people in management role, the old management role, now it's the care role I can use. And
I should have a
the-
little collar on you. If you say the word management, I should beep and you get a shock every time you say it.
That is good, and this coming in a very good opportunity because I have a speech to do next week, so it's a wonderful time. But my question is a very basic one, because when you really care about the relationship, the human being that you are doing the relationship, you need to dedicate time. And today, time is something very precious. This means the time that you should do your job, but at the same time, you should care about the people that you are responsible for. How you see this balance? How you can give us kind of a suggestion to balance your time to do your own things that you should do, but also, especially the upper management, and then also dedicate good enough part of your time to talk with people that you should care, because caring really demands a lot of time. Basically, you need to listen, you need to dedicate time. How you could recommend or give some tips? Thank you very, very much.
Well, I appreciate the question, and it's an easy answer. We as leaders have time for what's important. Okay. And if I were to follow you around all day and do an efficiency of how you spend your time, I might have some suggestions, but all I could say to you is, if you're raising children, would you say, I don't have time to care for my children? No. And so I, with 12,000 team members around the world and 100 operations, can't be everywhere, obviously. So we need to create a caring organization. Caring occurs with every interaction every day in the company, not just my time. So the way you do it in a large, again, people ask me all the time, well, Bob, if you're 150 adoptions, how on earth do you, in Serbia and India and China, and easy. Okay. I constantly am giving people that North Star, that guidance where we're going. That's my primary responsibility. And then where we are on the journey and why we're going there. And I have plenty of time to care for people. Okay. We're going to hit almost 4 billion this year, 12,000 team members, probably adopted 6 additional companies. I have plenty of time, because if you have the right leadership team and the right vision, you can sit back. And there's, in the early days, there was a contrast between a basketball coach named Bob Knight and John Wooden. Bobby Knight was with Indiana. He ran up and down the court yelling at team members, pass the ball to this. And John Wooden just sat back in his chair at UCLA and let his team play. Okay. The contrast was dramatic. Both legendary coaches. John Wooden was great because he said, my team knows how. I can sit here and let my team play. So again, if you give them these basic skills, and you constantly are sending the message of where it's about people, purpose, and performance, and it starts with people, you will get this muscle memory, this momentum, and you'll see caring happening where you're not there. Okay. And it's beautiful. I mean, I saw it. I mean, we were just in, Wisconsin, a plant of 400 people with Simon Sinek, and the stories would make you all cry in terms of how people feel. It's profound. So never say we don't have time to care.
Wow.
Okay. Because then I'm going to challenge where you spend your time.
And Bob, wonderful, beautiful. And do you have time for 2 more questions, 2 last questions, please?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you. And just before that, if we can take a picture to register this very special moment, I'm going to make a kind of a screenshot here. Is it okay, everybody? So
Sure.
Please open your cameras. Let's register this special moment. So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. That's perfect. Thank you so much. And Wills and Fabiano, please.
And remember, we recorded this, and we can feed it into AI and create notes from this within seconds. Okay. We do this all the time because I don't expect everybody to remember everything we said. And my hope is, and again, the honor of being on the call with you all. If a question didn't get answered or occurs to you afterwards, just send me an email and ask me the question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wilsa, please.
Dr. Chapman, thank you a lot for being with us today. Thank you. And my question is, in a company, we can find different types of people. And in your point of view, how can we deal with that people who really don't want to work well, to work better, and they seem to be rebellious, revolted sometimes? It's difficult to work with them. I don't know.
They must have told you to ask this question, because in every speech I give, this is the most common question. And even in a church, they ask this question, okay? and the answer is, okay, and Bill Urey of Harvard described it as courageous patience, okay? People are uniquely different. Everybody is not going to walk up to the front and say, I believe, okay? And with courageous patience, you say to people, this is what we believe in. Here's where we're going. I hope you'll join us in this journey, okay? Without judging why they're resistant or anything, because maybe the last company they work for or their personality is such, it's just hard to believe you really mean this. So I'm just, and so what we call it is courageous patience, okay? And it's like a bus going around in a circuit. The bus pulls up and says, would you like to join this journey of caring? And you say, you know what? I'm just not there yet. I just don't feel comfortable. We say, that's okay, because we'll be back. And Simon Sinek gave us the original encouragement. He said, don't focus on the people who don't get it. Focus on the people who do get it. Don't let the doubters hold you back. Because again, Simon interviewed a guy named Randall Fleming yesterday in our plant. And Randall Fleming, when we began, was a military guy. He's the kind of guy you stayed away from. He wanted nothing to do with it. Today, he's a professor at our university. And Harvard wanted to write a case on him. Simon loved it. That was the most extreme, because it's the most, tough guy, been around, leave me alone. No. And so I would say to you, remember, every one of the individuals you're talking about has a different personality. They have a different experience, and their capacity to respond to this will be uniquely different. And what you want to do is focus on the people that do get it and give those that don't yet get it time to embrace it. That is what Simon's advice was. That is what's worked for us. And we have seen, again, I'm sure there's people who never get it. And then we have what we call hard love. If you don't embrace this and you're hurting people, we need to address it in a dignified way. Because hard loving, when we raise kids, which means doing the thing, raising kids is not about giving them everything they want. It's about doing the right thing for the kids to prepare them to live a meaningful life. The same thing with our team members, okay? And again, one of the things that I learned this gives me a chance to capture, I know that we're born with different colored skin, different colored eyes, different colored hair. I know that we're born with unique characteristics and capabilities, but I did not know until this journey we're born with different personalities. It's called D, I, S, and C. There's 4 distinct types of personalities that you're born with. Okay, you didn't choose your personality. You were born with it. And that personality type creates a lens through which you see the world. That's why 2 people can look at the exact same facts and see something entirely differently. And what we teach in schools is to debate what I saw is right and you are wrong, okay? Instead of trying to understand that people have a different lens. So when you look at the people in your span of care, realize they have unique personalities, just like the kids in a classroom, and you can't expect them all to walk up forward. Focus on the people that do, the early adopters, and others will follow, and give courageous patience to the people, because this is way outside the normal experience. They got to process this, and you want them to step forward because they believe, not because they were forced to.
Thank you very much for your wisdom, Bob. And by the way, Simon Sinek is such a star in the business world, and he writes the foreword here for Everybody Matters. And he says in the foreword that when he met Bob and Barry-Wehmiller's story, he said, look, yes, these ideas are possible. This is a concrete example that everything that I always thought it is possible. So I just like to make this
Simon
remark.
Sinek, when he discovered us 13 years ago, again, I just spent 2 days with him because he wanted to go back to the first place he came, and he choked up in the podcast shows. He did a podcast. He and I did a podcast, and he got to the point he couldn't talk. It's been so meaningful for him. It gives Simon hope, because he said, if it exists, it must be possible. That's, again, Simon's word. If it exists, it must be possible. And again, this is not a small little company. It is a diverse company around the world. Everybody in the world simply wants to know they matter. And in the 40 hours of care you have them, you have a chance to let them know that they matter and send them home feeling a sense of dignity, which will impact their marriage and their relationship with their children and in the community.
Yes, and you have operations in Brazil as well. So of course,
yes,
of course,
all over the
words
world. Yes.
in Brazil. And I'm just going to share the link for the podcast of yesterday of Bob with Simon Sinek here in the chat.
No, it's Raj. Yeah, well, Raj and Simon his will come out in a few weeks, I think. So it is with Raj that we did it with yesterday.
Yeah. Fraud. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Fabiano, please.
Okay.
Well, first of all, congrats for your career, thoughts, behavior is really inspiration for us, for sure. My question is divided in two. And which other companies that do something similar that you believe you're in this way? And which companies do you think that have some disciples like us that believes and that keep this flame awake, if I can say this time?
There's only one company. It's a recreational vehicle company. It's a $5 billion company in Elkhart, Indiana. They operate globally. They make recreational accessories like the doors and the windows. He believes in it. Jason believes in it. But I would say Meyer Food Stores now have been working with our Leadership Institute for like 5 years now, and they've seen a big change. So this is a hard journey because boards don't understand it, shareholders don't understand it. And so it takes a bold move. Now, again, I have conversation. Nobody ever debates this. It's just going from using people to caring for people. They don't want to say it. I don't know how to do it. So I have very few examples. I've never met one that is, Harvard, 7 top professors, McKinsey said they have never seen anything like what they saw when they met with our people. So we've just been blessed with this, and we're trying to share it and invite people to join us so we can start healing the world. But I have very few. There's a nice company where a nice guy runs it and people feel nice, but that's not sustainable. This is not about, you don't want a nice pilot that's doing a nice pilot. You want a pilot that's been trained. So, and every time you get in an airplane, the pilot can do that. So we need to develop tomorrow's leaders.
Wow. And Bob, well, what can I say? As Fabiano mentioned it, as you see, you have disciples here in Brazil. We really believe that this is actually the only way for us to have a better perspective about the future. So, Bob, on behalf of this group, would like to deeply, deeply thank you once again for your incredible generosity of taking your time to be with us. I'm not going to say this was once in a lifetime opportunity, because we will always have the hope of listening and learning from you again in the future. And well, hopefully you accept another invitation. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, again, the thank you is to open your heart and mind to a better way of leading, to help heal this poverty of dignity. That's the thank you, that you take action. That's what we need. We need to start a movement to heal this brokenness in the world, this poverty of dignity that's destroying families. Kids are coming out of these broken families with don't want to work in companies because their parents came home miserable. Remember, no government in the world can do what we can do. okay? Because we have people in our care. And, I'll leave you with a short story. We bought a company in France. My board was kind of against it because of workers' councils and other issues in France, but I convinced them to do it. I fly over to meet with the workers' council. I share with our vision. It's 5 or 6 people in their 50s and probably 60s. And at the end of the discussion, this one gentleman named Felipe says, "Can I say something, Bob?" And I said, "Sure." And just think of you flying into France, sitting with workers' councils on this significant acquisition in a country where they have totally different, issues. And this Felipe said, "Mr. Chapman, we've been waiting for you for 32 years." And they began crying. Okay. How can you forget that? That feeds your soul. That gives you the engine to know we are on a journey of healing. And we see this all over the world. So again, world peace begins right here on this call.
Yes.
Okay, if we send people home broken and they have a sense that when we deprive them of their dignity because we use them rather than cared for them, you'll see anger and unrest like you've never seen before, which we're seeing because people have economic prosperity, but they don't have human prosperity. You can give them both. Okay. Make sure your business model, they're safe in your business model, and then see them as your purpose, and it will fill your heart with joy in the time you have left on this earth, and we can begin healing. So thank you all.
Wow, we thank you so much, Bob. And actually, I'm very emotional here because I would never thought that I would have the two here because the Honorable Professor Sisodia has joined us. So Raj, if I may call you. So it's incredible because, friends, we have Bob Chapman and Raj Sisodia here together with us.
Both the authors of Everybody Matters here with us.
Wow. Wow. So a round of applause, please, everyone, to both of them. It's wonderful. And Professor, if you...
It's a great privilege and we are very honored, and we learned the message, Bob, for us to take action. It's on us to take action now, not tomorrow, now.
The best thank you is to take action. So Professor Sisodia, if you could please say a couple of words for us, it would be an honor for us. It is already.
Well, of course. So I'm wondering, I thought I came at the right time. Is this the end of the meeting or the beginning of the meeting?
Yes, at the end, but you're welcome anyway.
Oh my God.
No, it's the beginning of transformation. It's the beginning of transformation.
Well, I'm sorry. I intended to come at the beginning, but maybe I got the time zone mixed up. But on my calendar, I had it at this time. But no, very happy to be here. Of course, Brazil. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Brazil. We have a lot of activity in Brazil of conscious capitalism, as you probably know. I think we have 11 chapters around the country. We've been operating for many years. And we also do a lot of work on the Shakti leadership, which is the feminine, integrating masculine and feminine. All of our books are available in Portuguese. So I think Brazil is one of the places in the world where, so this one certainly, and most of them, I think. So I'm always very happy to support everything going on in Brazil. And I'm a big fan of your work, Alexandre, and what you have done, especially on the academic side and now with the Virtuous Company initiative. I think you're really making a big difference. I love to see academics who are also very involved with the world of practice. Otherwise, many of us, we lock ourselves away in our ivory tower and we only talk to other academics, I think this is very important. So again, thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you all for your commitment to being on this path of being a caring, loving, and conscious leader.
Well, for
yes,
me...
Alexander, again, because we captured the video and we can put it and get the notes, you can send it both to our participants today, but you have probably a much larger community, and share this, because I think our hope is to capture and share and raise the awareness of what the world could be, okay, and create that North Star for all of us of caring.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we have people who are leaders of companies with thousands of people. So we are going to disseminate as much as possible all of these messages from both of you. And in my case, I'm really, for me, it's a kind of a dream coming true to have both of you here. It's incredible. I'll never forget this. Both of you are such a reference for us. And it's a source of energy for us to go ahead. And Professor Sisodia, since you came right at the end, perhaps if you can accept another moment for us to have a conversation with you, everyone here will feel privileged for a moment with you. So, well, what I can say, just thank you, just gratitude to both of you for everything you have done. It's wonderful. You are wonderful human beings.
You all
Ali,
give me
should
hope.
take
You
another
all give me
picture.
hope.
Yeah, we can take another picture, Alex.
Yes, it deserves. So I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
And
So
again, we're open to questions. If any of you didn't get a chance to, or something occurs to you, just send me an email and we'll answer your question.
wonderful, fantastic.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much, Professor Raj. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Our joy. Thank you for
Thank you.
supporting
Thank you.
us.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank you.
Professor. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Bob. Thank you. See you. See
Bye-bye.
you, Raj. See you, Bob.
Thank you. It was great.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Wonderful, memorable. Thank you, Raj.
Tchau, pessoal.
Ciao.